Recently, there's been some articles that have come out that are saying that 1 in 6 millennials now have $100,000 or more in savings. These articles are somewhat misleading, though, as I'm going to show. This article is actually really good. I think I'll attach a link to it, and I think you should read the whole thing. There's actually tips in here for how to start saving, no matter what your age or demographic is. And so basically, though, despite the 1 in 6 millennials now having an enormous amount of savings, that means that 5 out of 6 have very little or no savings at all. And I think that's the main point here. Not that 1 in 6 millennials has an enormous savings, that much larger percentage has little or no savings at all. And, it's really sad. There's not a lot of high paying full time jobs available. The economy is creating a lot of part time jobs. And there's just a lot of anecdotal evidence to this, whether it's the casual sit-down chain restaurants or movie theaters or a lot of retail stores that are having disappointing sales and numbers. Even in the Washington, D.C. metro area, and I live in one of the Fairfax County, in one of the highest average median family income counties in the entire United States, and I see on Friday and Saturday night that movie theaters for a brand new movie are totally empty, that restaurants, especially chain restaurants, sit-down ones, on a Friday night or Saturday night are totally empty. And so, with this article, and I think this is important out there, that I think it proves that a lot of American millennials still are broke, and that a lot of, baby boomers and other people still have $1,000 or less in an emergency or savings. And from anecdotal evidence from speaking with some of my friends who are financial professionals who manage money for a living, either retail money or high net worth family offices and stuff, or hedge fund managers, they've had to turn away clients who are close to retiring, baby boomers or older, who have $100,000 or a little over $100,000, and they want to retire soon, and they expect miracles to be done with their money, where that $100,000 or a little over $100,000 is turned miraculously into $1 million or more with no risk, and then can magically produce them enormous amounts of income. So, despite these Trump tax cuts and supposedly high GDP growth, which, by the way, is always revised downwards and not counting a real inflation rate, the fact of the matter is, when we see articles like this with proof, with surveys showing that a lot of Americans don't even have $1,000 in their savings account, don't even have $1,000 for an emergency, and that a lot of Americans who especially millennials, that just graduated college, that have an enormous amount of student loan debt for degrees that might not have been able to get them a high-paying full-time job, that Americans are still in bad shape. They don't have savings. So, all is not totally lost. There are tips in this article for how to start saving. But the other important point is, if you are going to start saving, if you're not already doing it, you have to be cognizant of governments and central banks, not just in the United States, but pretty much all the major economies, because many of my listeners live all over the globe, is that their goal is to lie about the economic statistics and steal your purchasing power. So this is one of the first times in history, people are going to be forced to have to save in a lot of other things. They're going to have to be more creative with how they save money to preserve their purchasing power. So that's going to be a combination then of precious metals stored probably besides just at your home, maybe in other political jurisdictions for diversification purposes, if you can afford to do so. There's companies like Gold Money that make it pretty easy, and then some cryptocurrencies as well, just to have some type of diversification, because you don't want to be caught in RMB or Japanese yen or euros or dollars, and then all of a sudden the central bank or the government announces some type of devaluation scheme. And unfortunately, going forward, probably in the next 5 or 10 years, the odds of these devaluations for savers are going to be very, very high. And so in a lot of cases, unfortunately, the governments are not going to come out and announce the devaluations. It could be done stealthily, or it might just be done overnight. There could potentially in the future be some type of bank holidays with bail-ins or bailouts, or a combination of these things. Unfortunately, this is the new normal going forward. After 2008, the rules changed, where there was no bankruptcies, or they selectively only allowed small banks to fail and they didn't allow the large banks to fail, or the politically connected people who don't go to prison for committing felonies and violating the rule of law are going to be allowed to get away with almost whatever they want, whereas regular, everyday, Main Street people like you and me are going to get over. We're going to get the shaft. So obviously, before you can start to invest, you need to learn how to save. So you have to produce, as Doug Casey says, my friend Doug Casey says, you have to learn to produce more than you consume, save the difference, and then after you have some savings, then you can learn how to invest and start diversifying. And so this article has some tips for people in different ages and demographics to learn to start saving, but there's a lot of these articles going around, not this one, because I think this article is actually good, but there's a lot of articles going around saying, oh, millennials are going to be the best saving generation. I don't think so. Not with the student loan debt, not with how bad the real economy is, despite the BS that we're hearing with the fake GDP numbers and Trump touting how good the economy is. Yes, some jobs are coming back, but the majority of jobs that have been created are still part-time jobs, not full-time jobs. And since the 2008 financial crisis, the majority of jobs, by an enormous number, were created in restaurants and retail. And what is doing bad right now? Restaurants and retail. Okay, guys, well, that's it for this video. And so, before you can learn how to invest, which is what Wall Street for Main Street is all about, you have to learn how to save. And so if you don't know how to save, you're going to probably have to learn the basics of personal finance, and maybe starting with this article and trying to figure things out from there. There's also some great personal finance books, like The Richest Man in Babylon is one of my favorite, where you pay yourself first. You try to pay yourself about 10% of your after-tax paycheck. You try to put away into some type of savings. Obviously, you don't want to put in a savings account now because you're not going to get any interest rate. And like I said earlier, you don't want to put it all into one currency anymore because of what the central banks and governments are going to do. They're going to force you to be more diversified and be more creative with your savings. Okay, guys, well, that's it for this short video. I have a lot of exciting interviews coming out the rest of this week. And everyone have a happy Valentine's Day. Unfortunately, I don't have a Valentine. But, maybe that'll change in the near future, because it looks like my business prospects with my 2 new business partners are going to change my work and business life. And so hopefully that will improve my personal life in the near future. Okay, bye, guys. Do you work out routinely and eat healthy almost all the time? If you eat paleo or vegan or work out routinely, you may be eligible to save up to 33% off on your life insurance thanks to Health IQ. Health IQ is a venture capital-backed, big data technology life insurance company that offers customers life insurance at special rates by using the latest technologies. For more information, please go to healthiq.com/WS4MS. That's healthiq.com/WS4MS.